They were 9 knights. No army, no glory, no gold. But they rode straight into Jerusalem and asked for one thing: to live beneath the ruins of Solomon's temple. Not beside it, not near it, under it. For 9 years they didn't fight. They didn't recruit. They didn't even speak. They dug. And when they came back, they were rich, powerful, and guarded by the church itself. So what did they find down there? And why has no one been allowed to see it since? The dust has long since settled over Jerusalem. The Crusaders are gone. The stone pathways have been rebuilt, buried, rebuilt again. But beneath it all, there are whispers. Cold, heavy ones. About something still hidden, still sealed, still waiting. You're not standing in a battlefield tonight. There's no clatter of swords, no blood-soaked flags. Instead, you're in the quiet corridors of power, where history wears a different kind of armor. Look closer. At the old city of Jerusalem, where sacred meets secret, where faith became stone and stone became legend. Beneath this ancient crossroads lies the Temple Mount, once crowned by Solomon's temple, later leveled, rebuilt, sanctified, desecrated, and now forbidden to dig beneath. But 9 knights, those founding members of the Knights Templar, were granted permission. Unheard of, unrecorded, unquestioned. And when they returned, they weren't just warriors anymore. They were bankers, diplomats, papal confidants. So either they found nothing and were rewarded beyond reason, or they found everything. This is a story not just about what was buried, but why it stayed buried. It's about vaults that appear in no blueprint, scrolls no one will translate, and a trail of silence that stretches from the Crusades to the Vatican to Masonic lodges' secret excavations, and perhaps even to somewhere far more dangerous. So tonight we begin the descent, step by step, stone by stone. Before we venture further into the shadows, take a moment to subscribe so you never miss a secret that history has tried to forget. You arrive in Jerusalem, the year 1119. The First Crusade has ended in brutal triumph. Blood has soaked the stones of the Holy City, and Christian rule, however tenuous, has been re-established. Amidst the rebuilding among fractured alliances and feudal politics, 9 men quietly form a new order. They call themselves the Poor Fellow Soldiers of Christ. But history will remember them by another name, the Knights Templar. Their first request is not land, nor soldiers, nor treasure. It's permission to live beneath the Temple Mount. Specifically beneath the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which by Crusader logic stood atop the ruins of Solomon's temple. Their mission, they said, was to protect pilgrims. But you don't guard roads by disappearing under ruins for nearly a decade. There's something about this detail that even seasoned historians struggle to explain. These men weren't building fortresses or training armies. They weren't evangelizing or collecting tithes. They were digging. They took up residence in ancient stone vaults and disappeared into the earth. There are no records of them conducting any military campaigns during this time. No expansion, no recruitment. Just silence and the occasional whisper of earth being moved at night. One well-documented fact remains stubbornly clear: King Baldwin II, ruler of the newly captured Jerusalem, granted these knights the use of the Temple Mount itself. This was no small gift. The mount had long been considered sacred, dangerous even. And yet the king allowed these 9 men unrestricted access to it. No oversight, no interference. Why some suggest Baldwin was merely eager to curry favor with Christian holy men. Others hint at a private deal, something the king knew and wanted hidden again. Centuries later, in the 19th century, British explorer Charles Warren descended into tunnels beneath the Temple Mount. He found ancient passageways, partially collapsed chambers, and signs of earlier excavation. Some of the chambers bore the marks of medieval tools. Others were simply gone, filled in with stone and sealed so perfectly they might as well have never existed. Warren's notes make an odd comment, brief and easy to overlook. He describes a shaft that descended into nothingness before being abruptly blocked by a massive slab that did not match the surrounding architecture. He wasn't the first to stop digging there. He simply chose not to die for the answer. There are stories, quiet, strange stories told by later Muslim historians and Christian chroniclers alike, that the Templars sought something beneath the temple. Some claimed they believed Solomon's treasure had been buried and protected by angels. Others said they were looking for sacred knowledge, the kind written in flame and never meant for mortal hands. Still others believed they were seeking the Ark of the Covenant. But those were stories told long after the fact, as if trying to explain an act too bizarre for logic. A curious detail emerges when you study the Templars' founding documents. The original Latin rule of the order, written with the help of Bernard of Clairvaux, says almost nothing about their time in Jerusalem. No record of what they did, only that they existed and were soon elevated to sacred status. So sacred, in fact, that Pope Honorius II granted them unique exemptions, no taxes, no feudal service, and the power to build chapels outside the control of any bishop. For an obscure group of 9 knights who had done nothing publicly remarkable, this treatment was unusual, unprecedented even. And then there's the matter of what they didn't say. Despite extensive chronicles from the Crusader period, virtually no one writes about what the Templars did beneath the mount. It's as if the record has been scrubbed or avoided entirely. One historian remarked it was like staring into a blackout. Every other Crusader act was documented in blood ink or song. But this, just a void. Some argue the lack of evidence proves there's nothing to find, that the Templars were simply zealous men occupying a sacred site. But this ignores one deeply inconvenient reality: 9 knights returned home and reshaped Europe. In less than a generation, they became the most powerful order in Christendom, with holdings across multiple kingdoms and access to the Pope himself. Something happened beneath that mount.